Welcome to the show about all things making music, from the creative process and workflow to gear and recording techniques. I'm your host, Brian Funk, musician, producer, Ableton Certified Trainer, and author of the 5-Minute Music Producer. Let's learn to become better music makers. Welcome to the Music Production Podcast. Today I'm speaking with Yeuda Ben Atar, aka Sidebrain. Yeuda is one of the most knowledgeable and prolific Ableton Certified Trainers out there. He recently released his 100th weekly episode of his music production study group. He's got some exciting new Ableton Live tools such as his push trigger effects, MIDI Bounce, and Flin for push. We spoke about his teaching and work and his liberating position on releasing music. And we discussed some of the challenges and benefits in AI in music production and technology. Please welcome Yeuda Ben Atar, aka Sidebrain, back to the Music Production Podcast. This episode of the Music Production Podcast is sponsored by Baby Audio and their new drum synthesizer called Techno. This is a reimagination of some of the classic drum machines. It allows you to create your own drum sounds from the ground up or use a ton of really cool presets. You get anything from big, huge, massive drums to more subtle things. You have total control, and there's a lot of fun to be had with this. I'll let you hear a different drum kit right now. These are just the built-in presets, and they sound amazing. There's so much you can do with these. Give you a new beat. One of the things I really love about this device is the Humanize feature, so I'm going to turn that up a bit. And this is going to make the timing and the parameters of the synth change all the time. I'm going to turn up the parameters so you can really hear how these drum sounds are just changing, like real drums and like drum machines do sometimes. Let me just take this snare. I've got the Humanize cranked up, so every time I play this snare, it sounds a bit different. Turn the Humanize down, and you get the consistent drum sound. So you've got these drums that are alive and moving. On top of that, they've got some really nice randomization features. I'm just going to click the random dice, and we've got a completely new drum kit, and it sounds awesome. Listen to that snare. Nice. Really fun sound there. I'll just hit it again for another randomization. And I'm getting new sounds just like that. It's pretty intelligent. Sometimes when you're using drum machines to design sounds, you wish you could have access to those individual sounds. Baby Audio makes this so easy. Techno just allows you to grab any sound and just drag it onto an audio track. And then you've got the sample. And you can use that however you like. Additionally, say you take some of their more tonal sounds. I'm going to crank up the decay on this right here. And maybe I'll add some of the built-in effects like the saturation and the distortion, maybe even a little reverb. There we go. And I'm just going to drag this right onto a track that has my simpler, which is a live sampling device. And now I've got a playable instrument. So there's a lot of potential for techno as a sound design engine, but as a drum machine, it's a ton of fun. So I'm pretty excited about it and really happy to have this as our sponsor today from Baby Audio. You can act now and take advantage of their intro pricing if you're fast. And you can also use the code MPP15 to get another 15% off. So go to their site, babyaud.io. So it's BABYAUD.io. And use the code MPP15 to get another 15% off this really fun drum machine. Welcome back to the show. How are you, Yeuda? Good to see you.
Amazing. Thank you for having me, man, again.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you. I follow everything you do. You're very active in the last couple years, especially, I'd say. And I remember you from way back in the early days, playing with the Dreamcast controllers, performing live with that, which was right up my alley as a fan of video games. And saw you at Loop in LA doing your thing, presenting, and we met recently. I don't know if we ever spoke at Loop at LA, but we definitely spoke a few months ago in LA when I was out there doing my workshop at the Ableton headquarters. So it was awesome to see you, talk to you a little bit, and I'm happy we're reconnecting here on the show too.
Me too, man. Thanks for having me. Yes, it was awesome to meet you back in LA a couple of months ago, and hopefully you come again soon. And my girlfriend is from New York, so we're there at least once
cool.
a year. I'll hit you up when I'm there.
Yeah, please do. I'm on Long Island, so I don't know where that is compared to
Nice.
where you go,
Okay,
but
we'll get
yeah,
there.
maybe we'll work something out.
Sounds
Nice.
good.
That was so fun going to LA, going to the Ableton headquarters. And, the first thing I think I saw when I went into the headquarters was you at one of the computers in the studio,
Yeah.
transferring files from your workshop that you had done a couple weeks before.
Yeah. Yeah, which was amazing. I think that was the first one. I did another one since, and it's awesome that Ableton kind of allowing us certified
Yeah.
trainers to use their space for this type of weekend workshops. And I don't know if you're planning to do one again, but I'll probably do one at some point again because those are awesome events. Of course, it's much easier for me as a local. I live like 10 minutes away, but it was great to see you also doing that weekend workshop. And I heard it went really well. So that's great to hear.
It was a lot of fun. And I got pretty nervous about it leading up to
I
it. Just
remember.
so much about the planning and if people were going to enjoy it, if they were going to get a lot out of it. My approach was a little more hands off, where it was time to do your work. And I gave people some prompts and things. We talk about stuff as a group, but mostly it was, okay, now work on your stuff. And I kind of walked around and helped people in the process. And I'd seen what Dan Giffen did, and he had the day packed with presenters, and you filled the day easily presenting information. So I was a little afraid that maybe that different approach, whether it would work or not, but it turned out being really fun and kind of my style, I guess, too. So I liked the kind of hands-on one-on-one, and things came up as they go. It felt a little bit like I was teaching at school. Except people wanted to be there.
Yeah, amazing. I think you should go do your own style. That's why people come and do that.
Yeah.
Mine was, I feel like always, I give so much information. Maybe I need to find a balance of giving them kind of more like you hands off with all the stuff that I usually teach and stuff. By the way, there might be some drilling because they're redoing the bathroom here. So if there's too much,
Cool.
just let me
I
know.
don't hear it at all.
Okay, amazing. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, dude, I hope you do it again because those are super fun events. I know Ableton also benefits a lot from them. For them, it's more kind of like getting people into the space. Since the pandemic, because Ableton offices in Pasadena, and they have kind of two sections of their offices. I'm just saying it for the audience. One is the offices side where they do all the administrative things, and one is what they call Ableton spaces. And ever since the pandemic, they're not using it as much as they used to. So that's why they open it up for us, certified trainers and content creators to do those events. And for them, it's great because it just brings more attention to their showcase room where they showcase their hardware, the push and the move. So if anyone is in LA visiting or around LA, you can always call Ableton to schedule kind of just a demo. If you want to check out their devices, the push, the Ableton, move, and those type of things, they would love to schedule an appointment, showcase. And of course, if you go into one of those events, I think Dan is doing another one, which I'm talking at. So it's a great opportunity to come meet other Ableton users, and of course, just check all the Ableton stuff.
Yeah, it's funny because I was there in 2013 to get certified. So I went through my workshops there and the whole weekend of being under the microscope a little bit. So going back there was kind of like, whoa, I remember. And
You
the
remember
feelings come back a
who
little.
did the certification? Who was from Ableton?
Yeah, there was Dennis DeSantis.
Dennis Fisher and Dennis DeSantis. Wow. Okay, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the guy that wrote the manual, Dennis DeSantis.
Yeah.
Dennis Fisher, another right at the top.
I think Dennis Fisher used to be, maybe he still is, in charge of the certification program or something. He was very closely working with all the certification program.
Yeah, there was Thomas Folds. Cole was there. Yeah, some heavy hitters.
Yeah,
and
it's very nerve-wracking.
Of course,
it's very.
The other
I remember
people too.
Yeah, no. It's I don't know how many people were getting certified in your event.
I think there were 5 of us in total.
Yeah,
so,
similar
and
to
people
mine.
I knew
was like
from
2011, same thing. Like 5 people. Dennis DeSantis, Dennis Fisher. We had Sam. He's no longer. and Houston Singularity, who used to be the sound designer, and Thomas, and they grilled us. Wow, it was nerve-wracking.
Yep. Thomas was fun. He played the role of kind of the ornery guy in the crowd. Like, why would I ever want to do it that way? And we're like, hey, what? He's trying to rattle us, you know?
Might be a good opportunity to mention, because I just spoke with Thomas. Thomas is now in charge of the educational team in Ableton. And we're doing an event. I don't know when this is going to air, but hopefully before, on September 27th at the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles, downtown. I'm going to host it, and it's going to be kind of an Ableton lecture, but also interview and other lectures, because Moldover, I don't know if anyone knows, he's an amazing music technologist. He set up a lot of installations, more specifically jam boxes, kind of this usually 4-player jam stations where even non-musicians can go and jam with each other. So there is now an ongoing installation. I think it's a permanent, if not a long-term installation at the Grammy Museum downtown. So September 27th, we're going to have a day of lectures that are me going to just give a lecture and then also interview, and Moldover going to give a lecture, more focusing on alternate career paths for musicians, such as myself. I'll talk more about music education, and Moldover will talk, of course, about music technology and setting up installations and stuff like that. And I would highly recommend everyone who's listening to check out Moldover if you haven't heard of him. Some of us call him the godfather of controllerism. He builds some crazy controllers, including some from really big artists. For example, his latest project was for Virtual Riot. He built him a custom keyboard with lights on each keys. He has a video showcasing that. So that's September 27, just as we mentioned, Thomas, because I just talked to him.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds awesome. And yeah, Moldover, I mean, he really paved the way for a lot of the things we all do. Getting
Absolutely.
Controllers for your computer to operate
just the
things.
whole aspect of controllerism and the distinction between controllerism and DJing, which there's a lot of parallels, but it's still very different how we now, and they kind of take from each other over the years, but it's still two distinct art forms. And Moldover is amazing with that.
Yeah, his stuff was really inspiring for me when I was first trying to figure out how to do this live.
Yeah,
how to be a one-man band kind of thing. And
exactly.
And you came up in those same searches and research that I was doing at the time.
Yeah, thank you. I was also heavily inspired by everyone, and more specifically Moldover. Remember seeing a video of him called "What is Controllerism?" Really old. You can still find that video with modded Novation SL Mark II like a small keyboard, and everything was kind of DIY. And that's how I fell in love with the DIY world, with kind of like do it yourself, build your own custom MIDI controllers. That's what got me into all the video game controllers. So yes, Moldover is a huge part of it, and it's an honor to collaborate with him on this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of do-it-yourself. Even if you're buying pre-made controllers, you're still building it inside of your Ableton Live session. You're mapping things. You're deciding how you're going to use them. So that's something I always kind of explain to people when they're talking about live performances. It's kind of like playing an instrument, except first you have to build it. And then
Absolutely.
It's alive and you're changing it as you go.
Absolutely. That's what I tell my students when designing live shows. It's kind of like building your playground and how you can have it to be just fun on stage and not worrying, and a lot of other points. But the idea is to just have fun with your instruments, whatever that may be. And you're absolutely right. We have to kind of customize them. And that's what I think what always was so nice about Ableton. Everyone uses it differently. Everyone kind of have their own way of using Ableton. And that's what is so fun for me to see other people kind of how they use it in their own unique way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really cool that you're doing something about other career paths in music too. For me, my background playing in bands was no formal training really. I thought that's the only way you could do it is playing in a band. You had to go out on tour and stuff and make records.
but to learn there's so much more. And then even people that have like more classical training. I was just talking to Sarah Bell Reed,
Hmm.
and she's,
In the
comes from that
modular.
world,
Yeah,
and now
she's the
she's in the
modular
modular stuff.
synth lady. I've
Yeah.
seen her online. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, nice.
Yeah. And I have a nephew who's in that world. He's learning tuba, classically trained and all, and he's got a scholarship to Denver University. But he's kind of also, I think he's thinking about that, like, what am I doing? What else is there? And you don't always see that in a lot of the formal educations. Some colleges are starting to bring that stuff in and incorporate it more and more. But yeah, that there are so many other paths and things that don't even necessarily exist yet that people will discover.
Absolutely. I feel like there was a very now popular new profession that was somewhat starting to gain popularity, I would say 10, 15 years ago, which is the playback tech. People who are
Hmm.
backstage and getting in charge of the system to play back now most live shows will have some sort of a playback backstage of all the stuff that the musicians can do live. If it's a band, maybe one of the tracks they need like a full string orchestra. There's no string orchestra on stage, so that will be taking care of the playback. Even shows like American Idol or Cirque du Soleil, they all have this playback. So the playback technician definitely became a popular job opportunity for a lot of musicians or Ableton users, that they travel with the band or the artist all around. And I think it's super cool. So yes, I think especially the music technology, usually it's very dedicated schools. I know one here in California called CalArts, California Institute of the Arts in, I forgot it's a bit outside, like 30 minutes outside of LA. Amazing school. And they have this one classroom I taught a few times there, Ableton sent me. And it's very music technology focused. On the ceiling, you have robots that you can connect to all sorts of ways,
Hmm.
even brain waves to control them and have them play music. But it's very niche and very dedicated. And hopefully, as more and more the technology becomes available with stuff like, for years now, we have Arduino and the Raspberry Pi, and now even with Max and Max for Live Rainbow, you can kind of write applications to that. So hopefully we'll see more and more music technologies kind of take that route. I can say one thing, that it might be just how the brain works. But when you see extremely gifted musicians compared to extremely gifted technologists, usually there's a gap there when it comes to the technologists might not be able to compose music as appealing as the extremely talented musicians. And from my experience teaching top artists, a lot of time top artists, they don't know technology. They don't know, they don't care.
Mm.
It's only about kind of losing themselves in that creative world of making music. So hopefully we can, as soon as technology becomes even more and more accessible, we'll also bridge that gap of technologists and musicians, because there's still a gap there where you go to the technological installations. And Moldover is a good example of having both musicianship and technology, where the installations sometimes they're amazing technology, like in the technology side of things, with motion sensing, with audio visual reactive, but maybe the music examples are not as good as they can be compared to musicians who are just not technically savvy songwriters. A lot of times I help songwriters that just need to set up, they just want to work and they need some help setting up Ableton or stuff like that. So we see kind of that bridge also getting narrower and narrower. So hopefully, again, people will see that music technology is a route, a
Mm.
valuable route now, and not only just making music. Which
Yeah, it's
brings me to
something.
also my latest endeavors, I gotta
Yeah.
say, the ChatGPT stuff or the chatbots, the AI, are also an amazing way to bridge that gap for let's say, non-coders to make like stuff that I could never make without those things. And in recent months, I've been making a lot of Max Vola devices thanks to all those chatbots like ChatGPT,
Mm.
Claude, Gemini, DeepSeek, all those. I use all of them.
it's pretty awesome that you can apply it to that and help realize the things you want to create with
Exactly.
because those are very hard questions to ask like a Google or to search in YouTube videos, but to have something that can sort all of that and then give you the information you need. Those are applications that I think are interesting for AI. I don't want it to make the music for me, but I do think that kind of stuff, helping me solve the musical problems, it gets interesting.
It does. I think also you can use it as much as you want. So if you
Hmm.
are looking for inspiration, you can ask it. If you're looking for specific chord progressions, maybe melodic ideas, even to the point, and I'm just exploring it, of taking a Ableton preset, opening the Ableton preset with a text edit or some text editor, giving ChatGPT, hey, can you understand this? You might have to unzip it to XML. Doesn't matter, but what I'm saying is that those chatbots are now able to maybe even understand presets and give you presets, so even sounds for your own custom software. And I even saw some people uploading their mix downs, their exports of their music, and asking for some mixing advice. So I
Wow.
think, and of course, lyrics and all of those. I think we're gonna get to a point where yes, I can just tell it, hey, right, give me a song like Suno AI. That ad, it can kind of just give us full music. But I think it's gonna be, I guess, up to us to decide how much, to what extent we want to use it, to what extent we want to, um, do ourselves. One thing that we'll have to do, I think, still, if we're taking out this thing, I think that's, we're no longer in the creative process, and that's curating. So meaning, even
Mhm.
if I tell, let's say ChatGPT, even if I tell it, create 50 songs, I'll still have to tell it what's good, what's not, or at least choose the best ones. So we are reaching, and I said it before in many places, we are reaching an age of curation where these AIs will be able to do more and more things, will still need to be the curators. Once those AI will know better than us what we like, that's, I think,
Hmm.
maybe it's going to be somewhere um, a new age of consumption of art. But that being said, the more the AI will be able to tell us what we like, I think the more us humans will start making some weird human art. It's going to be so far out there, so
Mm.
like weird and bizarre. It's also going to be very interesting. So there is a lot to expect here, to be excited about. But yeah, the AI, I see people like some people who are commenting online about AI and, hey guys, don't worry, AI gave me this, and they seen some nonsense that AI wrote. Like, we're going to get to a point where it's indistinguishable, or it's going to give us art, a million songs in a second, and the best songs we ever heard in our lives. We're going to get to that
Mm.
point. But it does also mean that there's going to be some weird, creative, and bizarre art that humans make. So exciting
Mm.
to see what's coming rapidly and fast with all this AI
Really
stuff.
fast. Yeah.
Really fast. But just I'll help us, and I'll give you again the example of Max for Live, which I'm not an expert in, but Max for Live can also use JavaScript. And I'm not a coder, I don't know anything about JavaScript, but using ChatGPT and all the other AI chatbots, I was able to create a lot of devices, like, for example, a very extensive core detector, thanks to ChatGPT. Now, it is a lot of work going back and forth and explain and tell it what doesn't work, what does work. It's a lot. It takes a while,
Mm.
but you can still do it, and something you couldn't do before. So that's very exciting.
Yeah. That's in your keyboard monitor, right?
In the keyboard monitor, I collaborated with my co-developer. He's used to be based in Portugal. Now he got a professorship at China, so he moved to China now.
Mm.
He's teaching there. A highly gifted, intelligent guy that can also do programming, Max for Life. So I kind of hack my way around to it, and then he actually makes it, shareable to the public. And one of the code detector, which is a very elaborate code detector, like Ableton recently released the expressive chords, device, which is amazing. Expressive Chords has a built-in chord detector, but a lot of times you play the chords, it just say custom chord. Ours is almost any chord possible will give you the chord name, including inversions, drop voicing, excluding voices, whatever it is, it will give you. I think there's more than 40,000 chords or something like that, but it's very extensive. And thanks to at least the concept to all those chatbots, that's to tell us, okay, this is the route we should take. Let's work with that. So I encourage anyone who has ideas when it comes to software, specifically maybe Ableton stuff, Max for Live, or any other programming language, even plugins, building plugins, to explore that route of, if not just conceptualizing, completely building stuff with those AI chatbots. And we can see it, of course, with books, with lyrics, with stories, with websites, but also with software. I highly encourage everyone to audio software, stuff like that. Encourage everyone to test that route. We're probably going to see an explosion of plugins and Max for Live stuff. We already see, but we'll probably see more and more as they're going to get smarter and smarter. Because there's still a lot of situations where are very frustrating, where you're like, why can't you give me, are you going back and forth for so long and it keeps messing up, until you're like, I'll just figure it out myself. And then the solution is so simple that the AI couldn't tell. So we're still not fully like give you all the correct answers, but there are, it's still a great tool to use. I want to recommend, ChatGPT is fine, Claude is amazing, and Gemini Pro is okay, hit or miss. They're all hit or miss. I usually, if anyone's interested, I'm just using one until I get frustrated, I go to another, give him the code, work with it, gets frustrated, go to another. So I use about 4 or 5 different AIs back and forth. And I pay for them also. So that's also, because then you get to a limit how much you can use them very quickly. So I pay like $20 a month for each.
Yeah. I mean, coming up with 40,000 chords, like that would take you forever.
It's the algorithm to detect them. It's not even writing the chords, but how do we detect the algorithm according to the notes and knowing the octaves, knowing hey, this is a chord with no fifth, like C major, no 5, with a sharp 13. So there's in that way, it definitely helps you conceptualize the algorithms, in this case, the chord detections, but so much more other stuff. There is... it's not released yet, but it's going to be released very soon. There is a controller, old school controller, the godfather of all the grid controllers that we see today, like the push, the launchpad, the APC. This is the Monome or Monomi. And it's built by a husband and wife in the countryside of New York. I don't remember where, but somewhere in the outside of the city, handmade. So they had their own custom applications for this. Using Max, they develop it with Max for Live, Max at the time. It was no Max for Live, early 2000s. And it used to have this application called Flin, where each column is a sequencer, each column is a different note, and depends where you hit in the column, that's the speed of, you'll see the LED just coming down, kind of like raindrops, and playing the note when it reaches down. So I love that, and I was like, how can I do that on the push? And it took me like months, like 3 months to do that. It's finished. It's going to be released very soon. But I made a Flin sequencer for the push with a lot more features. It works amazing. I love it so much. But it's all thanks to all those AIs. Of course, there's a lot more that goes around it. Like it's not only the JavaScript code. You also need to know some Max, which I learned over the years. But still, just the conceptualization and the main algorithm of sequencing, thanks to all the AI. So just a huge recommendation to use those AI if you have those ideas that you want to make reality.
Right, just to have that kind of guide too.
Exactly.
Helping you figure out if you're going the right way.
Exactly. Like you said, sometimes I have like a small questions about one thing, and it might take me much longer to search online than just to ask the bot. Sometimes it gives the wrong answer, but it's getting better and better. So take it with a grain of salt, but still in a lot of, in most, I don't want to say most, but a lot of cases, it's amazing tool, helper / just conceptualizer.
I started paying for ChatGPT for 2 reasons. And one of them was houseplants. I started taking pictures of the houseplants and it would tell me what it was. I didn't even know what they were, how
Oh,
to care for it, what it needed, what I should do to repot it. And my houseplants are thriving.
really? That's a cool use. Yeah, it reminded me
Yeah.
there's an app for it. I forget what's the app called. God damn it. But also an
Yeah,
app, you
there
take a
was an app.
picture.
I didn't find that too useful. It was a couple years ago. So I'm sure it could be much different now, but at the time, yeah, it didn't work. But then I got the idea to try that. And then in preparation for my workshop in February, I'm trying to think like, all right, what do I want to tell them? What I need to get my ideas together. So I uploaded my whole book that I wrote, the whole thing. I just uploaded it. And then I uploaded a bunch of podcast episodes that I had transcripts for. And then I would ask it, all right, how do I like to make music? What are some things I keep coming back to? Give me basically be my secretary, be my other self that would have had to search through everything I've ever written and everything I've ever said.
That's awesome.
And it did all that for me and gave me ideas that I was then able to sift through and organize. But it was so cool because it was my own words. It was quotes from me, things I said. And sometimes I'd be like, well, I said that. Well, yeah, that was a good idea. Or I can't believe I said that. I don't believe that anymore. But it was pretty neat. And it saved me a lot of time for the whole preparation part of that workshop.
That's awesome.
Made me feel a lot more comfortable going in too. Because I knew, and I told you, I barely did any teaching when it actually came to it. But I had a lot of plans. I had plenty. I wasn't going to run out of material, but yeah, that was one of the coolest uses because it was so personalized.
That's great. I love that. Yeah. There's something scary but exciting about those AIs really get to know us on that level.
Yeah.
Especially when you upload so much of your work. I love that. Yeah, I use also that for copywriting newsletters, helping me find grammar errors for me.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, and for the music making side of things, I think I like the process. I like making the music. I don't want it to do it for me. And I think a lot of people are like that. I think it might have been Suno, but some executive said, people don't
Suno.
like making music.
People don't like making music anymore. Yeah, that's, I can understand maybe some aspects.
Sure.
For each person, it might be individual, what they less like to do. Like some people, I just want to focus on production. I don't want to mix and master. So maybe AI can help there. Some people are like, I don't know how to write lyrics or sing. So now we have all those kind of services that can do AI vocals, which I think it's great just to allow us to get us what used to be collaborators, which is in some way unfortunate that we're not, I don't have to bring a singer here anymore. I can create a virtual singer or mix and master and those things. But in other ways, just makes it more accessible for people who can't afford to hire a studio musician or a mix and master engineer. So positive and negatives, I guess, for all of that. But there's definitely so much enjoyment in the music creation itself. I guess we could just look at them as tools, to help us.
Yeah, sometimes I like to play around with things and see what comes up, but sometimes I just want to play the acoustic guitar and that's it, and we still have all those options. It's always been that way, I guess, with technology. There's new things that you don't have to auto-tune your voice. You don't have to quantize. You don't have to overdub or punch in. You can do whatever you want to whatever degree.
I think maybe in the near to far future, we might get to that situation for live performance as well. As an audience, obviously, it will be weird to see robots playing on stage. But what if we can't even tell what's a robot and what's not, or a humanoid, whatever you want to call them, as a performer on stage? Would us as the audience really care if now this entire orchestra is being played by robots, but they look human, sound human, smell human? Would we even care? So I think that's also comes with the end result for the listener in music, and even not with the AI stuff. Like even before, there were pop music that the drums were a plugin. Trailer for movies that it's not really a real instrument, it's MIDI. So I think for the end user, it's a good question. Like, how much do we really care if we consume this? It looks the same, it sounds the same, but it's not human, compared to us creators, where it's still, we still like we just enjoy the creation of it. We enjoy the just making the music, and I don't want to go on Suno and make me a pop song. I want to make it because it's just what we love. So it's going to be interesting to see how music is going to develop, maybe into a pure hobby. Maybe in 30, 40 years, it's no longer going to be a viable profession, because even if you want to perform live, there's someone who makes it better than you. Yeah, he happened to be a robot under his skin, but it's still a human skin, whatever, developed in a lab. Whatever, I'm just throwing up ideas here, but how the end consumer really going to care if everything looks human and sound human, but it's just 10 times better than any human you can find, any real human, But the creation will always, I think, going to be part of it. But as a hobby, some people still make swords as blacksmiths. Do you need a sword?
Right.
No, but they do it as a hobby.
Yeah, and
you could
I might want to go play.
Making swords better.
I would want to go play softball with some friends, even though I could watch professionals do it way better than me.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I'm saying, would you care if the professionals were robots?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then, because then the game can be so much more exciting, right? Because it's like beyond human capabilities.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh my God, that was crazy. Like did a crazy jump into 20 feet up high, catching the ball. But he threw it so it's just a good question to see for us consumers of entertainment. I don't know. We'll see, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll depend on what people decide, I guess. And
maybe it will be a hybrid first, kind of enhanced humans, where we could be able to start running faster, jumping faster, play faster, sing higher and lower. And then slowly we transition into fully humanoids. But then also, who knows? I'm just spitting out nonsense here. But who knows? Maybe also it's not going to be humanoid at the end. It's going to be kind of a hybrid of us enhanced in some way that at the end you can't even tell the difference. What's not human, what's human. Those are all futurism, which we get into.
Yeah.
We're going to get into very soon, maybe in our lifetime.
I think so. I mean, it's happening way faster than I ever thought.
Well, exactly.
I didn't think we'd have all these things happening, and I kind of hope that it makes people enjoy humanity more. Where I just want to hear you play the guitar and sing, and I don't care if you're good or not. I want to just get the essence of you in there, and it doesn't need to be pitch corrected or any of that stuff, or we don't need even like backing tracks for the band. Let's just hear what it is and enjoy it for that. Or maybe we won't be able to tolerate that kind of stuff anymore. It'll just be, oh God.
That's interesting that you say that, because we can kind of see an example of it with old 80s music and singers, that now you listen to some old, at least for me, old 80s music, and I was like, you can much better tell the off-pitch moments that are now non-existent because of autotune. Even if they make the pitch correction sound very natural with modern recordings, it's still perfect. And when you listen to 70s, 80s music, still amazing singers, but there might be moments, even micro moments, where like, whoa, that was a bit off, which can add character, of course, but it's still, to my ears, from what I remember, I don't know, 15 years ago, it's so much more noticeable. Maybe just because my ear got developed, but that's interesting that you say, because maybe we will have a higher tolerance to quality of music. But again, I don't know, because also there's so much character in it, and we do have nostalgic to, or even, affection to dirty old lo-fi music. It's all very interesting. We'll see.
Yeah. I've been really into not unquantized, but like non-metronome based music. So like mostly everything before a certain year. So like if you listen to the Rolling Stones, almost any song, play it through and then start it over again, it's usually way slower in the beginning because they got excited and they built it up, and that
Adrenaline.
humanity came through the excitement. I'm really interested in that dimension of expression in music where things speed up a little and slow down to lay back when things calm down. That I'm becoming more sensitive to it because I'm so used to hearing everything so perfect, and then the music I make is almost always on the grid. So it's to come off of it and then just have it have this little breathing room. It's been a lot of fun, and the
And
thing that I
you
think
play in a band, so I think you also experience
yeah,
this.
and this is why I think it came through so much for me, is because we were doing some recording and we had the click going, and it's the first time we've really ever played these songs to a click. We've been practicing them and working them out, and there was just something kind of boring about it. So we were like, let's just try it. Let's just go. Who cares? Forget the click. We kind of used the click to get our bearings, and we practiced to it a little, and then we're like, all right, now let's just turn it off and record. And I really liked it a lot better. And I also found everything else was more forgiving. So, and especially vocally, because I'm not a singer really, even though I sing in the band. I'm allowed to be a little less precise now. When it was so on, the grid and perfect, I had to be perfect, and I'm just not. I couldn't ever get those vocals. There was one song in particular we did to the click, and we wound up redoing, and it was just so much easier when we redid it because everything kind of just fit together, and we're playing with each other instead of three people playing separately to a click track.
That's such a good point. I think that's definitely an aspect we lost with the modern music softwares. If anyone's listening, I think that's something that a lot of people do in other aspects of the music. Like you might sometimes automate the volume to turn up a tiny bit on choruses or main sections or drops. You might automate the stereo width to open up a bit more, but it's definitely something even me ignores so much. The tempo, the tempo can we're in such a DJ friendly era that we maybe not even thinking about. Yeah, I mean, naturally when you play with a band and adrenaline kicks in with a more high energy a section of the song, and they did a research about that. You can listen to, like you said, you can listen to old music, and you can tell that the BPM might increase in 1, 2, 3 BPMs in high intensity sections, naturally. And that's such a good thing to take when you're producing music with a software. And I've seen some stuff on TikTok when people really play on with the BPM, the tempo automation. That's something we need to do more. I love that point, and it makes sense. Kind of like it's so much more adding to the feeling. It's not only just the rhythm. It's also the overall tempo is such a big part of, and the change in tempo, even if it's kind of micro changes, is such a big deal. I'm gonna go and do that again.
So I'm really excited about, and it's an old feature in Live where you can change
The
a
follow
clip to follow to lead. Yeah. And I mean, I was playing around, I just played the classical guitar, really sloppy, not even really knowing if I was going to keep the take, but I turned it into the leader and told Live where the ones were. And then it figured it out once I kind of gave it the gist of what I was doing. But then everything else, I could drop a drum loop on it and the loop follows my playing, and I can quantize things. I can copy and paste. So I recorded like a bass part and it, made a few mistakes. So I just copied it from the other section, which was a completely different BPM, and just pasted it. And because of warping, it just goes right in. And it just
I need
fits.
to try it again, because also since Ableton 11.3 or something, they introduced a new beat detection algorithm. So it's probably even better in detecting your own plane and turning it
I
into
was
follower.
very surprised how well it worked.
Wow, I'm gonna try it, Brian. That
Yeah.
sounds great. That's
Because
awesome.
I didn't put a lot of care into that playing that one day, and it just knew. I was like, wow.
That's such a great.
Pretty smart.
That's such a great idea. I'll do that with the guitar, and you don't even have to use the guitar after, just as kind of a tempo guide.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and then you kind of got your feel, and
I love that.
I guess if you've been playing enough where you can hold a beat to some degree, then you can get away with it.
Yeah.
You know, those natural things start happening.
I love that. I will definitely do it. I'm gonna try it. I haven't used that feature in so long.
Yeah, it's one I kind of always forget about, and
it is
lately
quite
I've
hidden.
been
I don't even think
experimenting.
you see it in the session. The clip has to be in arrangement, if I'm not mistaken, and then you see
Yeah, I think so.
follower, or I don't even
Because
talk.
it automates
they call it
all
follower.
the
They still
BPM.
call it follower.
It's lead and follow. I think it
Lead and
used to
follow?
be like a master slave terminology.
Could be, yeah.
Or something like
I know
that.
the track, the master track now is called main. They're trying to get away from those terminologies.
Yeah, but what it does is just automate the tempo on the master track.
According to that
so
track,
it takes it over.
That's super
and
cool.
It's very interesting to even just put music in there and then map it out and watch that line move. Like some tracks, it doesn't go anywhere. You know, it's just a straight line. Those are things recorded to the grid. But when you put older stuff, even stuff that has drum machines in it, it's those machines.
Absolutely. I remember I have a producer
them.
friend tried to record the swing from the MPC 2000 XL, and it's not straight. It's not steady. It's just fluctuating. So there's something about, you're absolutely right, I would do it. And that's why there's so much value in, even if all your music is electronic, just maybe record one element from the real world. It can add so much depth and dimension. And that's great. Follower, I'm going to definitely do that.
Well, if you think about when people talk about playing on top of the beat or playing behind the beat, if I'm like kind of laying back and playing behind the beat a little bit, say I'm playing the drums, when I get back to one, I don't then like shift back to on top of the beat and then I have to slow. It's a constant drag. I don't know. I haven't really studied it hard enough to understand if that's just a constant slowdown, but it doesn't just reset every bar. And that kind of happens when you program it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. I would use those tempo following. That's great. There's also, used to be a Max Fallout device that now is built in Ableton, which is, forget what it's called, but now in the settings,
the humanizing,
you can turn on
following.
what's it called? The
like
tempo follower. And
Yeah.
then you can set it up with, I think you can just set it up with a microphone or something, because it give you an input channel. So you can even have Ableton follow in real time, according to one of the microphones set up to drums or something. Which I don't use often, but it is a
I've only
built-in
played with that a
option.
little, and I don't know if we were playing straight enough for it to understand.
To follow, could be.
Yeah, like maybe there's too much bleed in the microphones or something.
Might be.
But I was kind of wondering if we could use that and have something sequenced live. It became one of those things where the other two guys in the band are like watching you fool around for too long, and they're like, "You want to just play?"
Let's just play. Yeah.
I'll figure it out
test
later.
it out more. I haven't tested it out since it's not a Max. Since it's a built-in feature, I'll have to do that.
But I bet if you have something a little more consistent, four to the floor kick kind of thing, and I think it would work pretty well, because it was working, but it wasn't enough to rely on for whatever we were doing.
Absolutely. It also reminded me, there's Isotonic Studios release a lot of Max for Live devices, and there is a recent Max for Live device I remember that allows you to play very fluidly with the global tempo. I just don't, I guess I can check what it's called, but isotonicstudios.com. I remember, I'll check what it's called, but it was a very cool kind of device that allows you to do kind of this weird, extreme or subtle tempo changes very easily. So definitely something that I'm going to explore more and more. The tempo is such a sometimes not touched element that should be
Yeah.
played with.
You can get away with a lot too, even if you're just automating it. You want your
Yep,
build to get some energy. You can go up a couple BPM, and it's the type of thing that you feel more than you notice
exactly.
intellectually. And I can't tell if something's moving up or down a couple BPM, but you notice it in the energy.
Right. Exactly.
So I wanted to, of course, I said something before we started, but congratulate you on 100 plus, I guess now, study groups that you
Thank you.
do every Sunday
Every Sunday,
for a
yeah.
couple of years now.
Couple of 2 years now. I used to have a music school here in LA called Beat Lab Academy, and we had to close it down during the pandemic, which kind of forced me into like a year of just taking off, just doing anything. I did some music, but not really teaching. And then towards the end of the school, we used to do this Sunday meetups for students because the school was closed. We couldn't go to the school. So we met online with all the students, kind of to answer questions, to make sure everything is up to their classes, still kind of doing everything. And that kind of came back to my mind after my forced sabbatical of, wow, maybe I should go back doing those Sunday sessions, of course, no longer as BitLab Academy, but more under my artist name, Sidebrain. And we start doing those. And I got a lot of good feedback, and people start recommending topics that we should do. So we start doing this very genre-specific topics. Okay, this week we'll talk only about breakcore and ambient jungle and tech house and all those, alongside some other general music production techniques. And it's been 2 years of very consistently every Sunday. I also have recordings of those that people can check out on my website, sidebrain.net. And last week we had a special live stream. Usually it's like a private group on Zoom, but we had a live stream on YouTube, and we had a lot of giveaways and prizes, and the community joined, and it was super awesome. This week is going to be the 101. And yeah, dude, it's unbelievable for me also, and I'm very grateful to be able to do this because it kind of became my main thing that I do. I mostly do the Sunday teachings. I post the recording in all my newsletters and all through all my channels. And then I work on free content for Instagram, YouTube tutorials, and stuff like that to just offer free music education online in the hopes that people will, of course, check out my other stuff, like the paid course, the paid workshops that we have on every Sunday. It's $25 a ticket. So thank you so much, dude. I'm super grateful for anyone who's involved and took part in this, and it's a blessing to be able to do this, especially with my situation, and I need to be more flexible for the kids. So it's great to just have this type of thing. Now, of course, there's many weekends where like, oh man, I wish I could go out Saturday late and do this. But at the same time, like I can't complain. I'm so flexible with my time during the week, and I love doing this research all week long about the topic, and preparing all the downloads and templates and presets and Ableton projects for the students, and of course getting the positive feedback from the community. So, dude, thank you so much. It's amazing, and hopefully we'll do 100 more of these. If anyone's interested, I guess you could check the website. I don't know where this will be posted, but this week we're talking about advanced sound design with Meld, which is awesome synth.
Well, I think first off, the discipline and the consistency you have is really impressive. What really blows my mind, though, is there's such a range of topics you cover. I mean, you have genres I've never even heard of that you spend a whole session on, and you go through different devices, you go through certain kinds of workflows and techniques. I'm just wondering, how do you get all of this knowledge inside of your head to share in a like these things? Some of these are like 2 hours long, right?
They're all two or two plus. Some of them are longer.
Yeah. So
by the way, if anyone interested, every workshop, you can check out 20 minutes from the workshop, which is a lot of information condensed. So thank you, first of all.
And also, just to say too, it's not like you're sitting around going like, let me see, how do I do this? I mean, you're firing off information nonstop. That's your style. I mean, your style is like boom, 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 here we go. I don't know how you know so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
What I'm saying.
First, I gotta say that I do notice a lot of times when I'm in class and I'm just making music in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I need to give value to my students. I feel like I'm spending my time just making music here. But then after, I get a lot of feedback, dude, I love that. You should make more music then, because I'm, like you said, I'm just teaching tricks, this, you should know this how you do. So I need to find a balance with myself to give them both my, style of teaching where it just give you information and tricks, and I guarantee you will learn at least one thing in my sessions. But at the same time, also provide inspiration by applying it, by making music. So we're doing it more and more. So I gotta say that when I was younger, I had to go to the army, mandatory, 3 years. And I hated the army. I'm a pacifist. I hate army so bad, so much. So one of my ways of coping with it was listening to music in headphones 24/7. I was just headphones. Back in the day, it was the post-Napster era. It was Soulseek. Soulseek is, I think you can still get it. It's kind of like Napster. You can download music from other people's computers. So I was downloading crazy amounts of music from all over the world, things that I never heard of, just kind of fanatically and extremely consuming music. And my interest in, why is this genre this? Why is this genre? What makes it that? Started from very early on. I was like 17, 18. So ever since, I just have this huge interest into music styles, like genres of music, and what makes them that, and somewhat the culture behind it. But for me, it's mostly the music, like what makes the production, the tools that they use. So yes, there are some styles that are more modern that I still have to research, but a lot of the styles I've been listening to for years and loving them so much that I kind of know what I need to do. Of course, there's still research goes into that, into, okay, what are the tools? How can I simplify it? And that's one of the most important things for my teachings is, how can I take whatever style, doesn't matter, and make it manageable to create for even beginners / intermediate users that are just starting out. At least give them the tools, a template, maybe narrow down the sounds, like or give them a preset pack or a sample pack. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is if I can get to a point where I can simply explain the style, I know I'm ready for class. If not, I'm starting to stress out. There's a few styles that might a bit more complex, so I have to make templates. For example, recently we did Botanica. Botanica is a new style that is kind of a mixture between ambient and glitch music, with a lot of kind of nice, beautiful Ghibli studio style chord progressions. And in some way, it needs a lot of layers and a lot of glitching. And so I just take my time to find the tools or the presets or the sample packs that allows me to do that. But thank you, man. Yes, there's a lot of research, but a lot of kind of past knowledge of music. And I used to work in a company that that's what I had to do. I had to listen to music and then categorize it in like 100 different categories. So it kind of also gain experience from that. It's like a tech startup. I don't think it exists anymore. So thank you, David. I appreciate it. I guess it's just also my love for music and my love for teaching. There is something I love explaining stuff, and I have to find the cool stuff in order to explain them. So my time goes from researching and making music to just exploring. There are, of course, some topics that are more close to heart. We did LA beats, like Flying Lotus style. That it was like, it was amazing. I just, flew so nicely. And there's some other styles that are maybe less close to heart, but I still are interested in them and researching them as much as I can to give my students the tools to create them. But thank you, dude. I appreciate it, man. I just, I'm a nerd at heart, so it just comes from that, I guess.
That's cool. And, one thing about getting into production was it brought me a new appreciation for almost any kind of music. So like you were saying, like maybe there's genres really well because you love it and it's what you're into, but anything you start exploring has some interesting aspects to it, at least from the production side. So it's a great way to just enjoy lots of different music when you put on that kind of lens to see it through.
Absolutely. And it's also interesting to see that some styles, although sound complicated to listen to, like they sound like, whoa, what's the hell is going on? Actually very simple once you break it down. For example, ambient jungle, like this kind of PlayStation 2 slide music. That is somewhat, I'm not going to say simple, but somewhat simpler if you have the right tools to just get yourself to a point where you're just playing around. And that's, I guess, my main mindset. How can we get to a point where we have the framework of all the tools we need for that specific style, and we're just playing around with that? Maybe like, for example, in the band scenario, you have your drums, you have your bass, you have your guitar, kind of the guitar chords you can use, what the bass how the bass can follow, or if the bass line start, how the guitar can follow, and of course the drums. So it's just kind of like a framework of you can play around with. That's where the plain music comes. So that's what we're trying to do with all these styles. How can we get to a point where we're just playing around in the framework of that style? Because it still needs to be that style, or else we're creating something else. So yes, it is. It's nice to explore all those different styles, and I would recommend any person who likes music, like you said, it gives you appreciation to all styles of music. It also opens up your a love for music much more just listening, because you can appreciate so much any form of music. I used to be a hater when I used to be a teenager. I used to be like a 17-year-old with like an old Volkswagen car. No one can enter my car, when we take friends around, if I'm the only one who choose music, and there were specific things that would not be played in my car. I can happily say today, I don't know if there's any style of music that I can't enjoy if the music is good. Anything, really. But there used to be, today, like I can see on my kid, he doesn't like country music. Although there's a lot of good country music out there, so maybe it's more maturity, maybe even mixed with that. But yeah, definitely the more styles of music you find out about, the more appreciation you have for music as a whole. It's so amazing also to see the connection between all the different styles of music and how they're inspired from each other. There is a lot. I just played to my Chinese girlfriend I saw on TikTok, a rap of China. It's kind of like American Idol. I'm sure there's American shows like that, but for rap / R&B Chinese artists. And their R&B performance, there's two specific, Mac Diego and Vince T. Wow. R&B, American R&B, but it's kind of like mixed English and Mandarin. It's super cool. I love it so much. And my girlfriend mentioned cultural appropriation. And for me at least, it's my opinion, there's no such thing in music as cultural appropriation. Yes, it's heavily inspired, but it's beautiful. That's the beautiful thing about it. You can even see it with styles like all the clave-based styles, like Afrobeats or original African music, then went, not thanks to, but because of the slave trade, they went to the Americas. The story says that the slaves used to build ships, and they didn't have the original African instruments, so they took pieces of wood from the ships that they build and start playing the clave rhythm that a lot of the Latin music, Afro-Cuban music is based on. And now we have things like the reggaeton and all that. And now it went back to Africa and went back. It was always there, but got popularized and simplified. And now we have all the West Africa pop music, the modern Afro beats, not the Fela Kuti, that we can hear so many inspirations back and forth between the Latin culture and the West African culture. And there's so many different examples like that around the world where you see the more you understand the different styles of music, the different cultures, the more you understand that it's all connected. And I think that's extremely beautiful in music. I used to have a website. This is going to be a bit hippie right now. Still have the domain. It's called One World, One Band. It's all about peace, world peace and stuff like that. But I think music, if you search on Google, why music? One of the answers is bringing people together. And that is also true with music styles and music genres. Yes, they're all different and they all represent different music cultures, even dances and history, but they're all connected in some way. And again, just to go back, it's hard for me to say cultural appropriation. It might be, maybe, with the maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. But when it comes to the music, no such thing, in my opinion. It's all inspiration, it's all positive, and it's amazing to see how music from across the world affect each other in all sorts of different ways.
Yeah, that's cool. And I mean, we saw that like with rock and roll, even, you know, how that went back and forth across the ocean, you know, and it's just this constant trade that happens. And we're really seeing it a lot more now with some of this like micro tuning stuff that we see that now it's built into Ableton Live, where you can access these scales that are totally new to Western ears for the most part, and make interesting stuff with it and put it through our, I guess it's like a life experience thing, you know, we put it through our own experience, our own culture, and it comes out a little different. It's just like, even on an individual level, if I'm trying to copy another person's style, I come out with a funhouse mirror version of it that's very specific to me, and all the other things that have found their way into my sphere of influence.
Exactly. That's what we are as musicians. We're just accumulation of all our inspirations.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that way of looking. It's not really art in a lot of ways. It's not property. It kind of really only, I guess, like commercialism that made it property of people. I don't know. But once it's out, you know, then anyone can hear it.
Yeah.
Even music is kind of funny because you can't close your eyes to music. You can't close your ears to it. There's certain types of art. You don't have to watch the movie, but if the music is playing, like, you can't not hear it.
Exactly. And be inspired by it if you like it, which is a good thing.
I guess when we're younger, though, we're trying to get our identity together. So we become haters and we become loyalists. And I can remember saying, I don't like music with drum machines. Oh, yeah, that's where I drew the line, you know. Meanwhile, I'm listening to Nine Inch Nails, not even knowing. I'm listening to like all kinds of music that had drum machines in it. No idea, though. Just thought like that was something I was against, you know.
There you go.
And now I love it.
I just heard the other day in the car, I put a Midwest emo playlist on Spotify. And some of the style is on purpose. The vocals are like so off tune, crying. They're almost crying into the microphone.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend's like, why are we listening to this? And I was like so enjoying it. There's so much to take from any style, even if it's like on purpose bad. There's some stylistic choices about purposely being bad or screaming, or, you know, or the guitars are no distortion, but the vocals are like growling, like metal. You know, there's a lot of, I love all of that. And I guess you're right, when we're young, we're trying to maybe find the identity. We're locking ourselves out of some stuff. I guess that's the part of the maturity. accepting all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because there's, I guess, music where I don't like it on a totality level, but when I go into the details, then you can be like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the way they switch the beat there, or it's neat how they recorded that whining voice that I don't like.
Yeah, or even like
There's something.
music, like stuff that I not usually listen to, like Russian romantic music or whatever. When I really think about it, I was like, there's no way I would ever be able to come up with these melodies or this harmony. And there's always appreciation, even for music that you're like, I won't listen to this unless it's in like a movie scene or something,
Mm,
you know? So yeah, going back to the futurism, maybe to wrap everything up. What's interesting is also, I feel like there's always new music, but at the same time, we kind of heard a lot of the stuff already. So back from the, early ages of music to today, so much has been done. One interesting thing that might happen as soon as we start enhancing ourselves as humans, maybe they will install some contraptions in our ears that will also allow us to listen to higher and maybe even lower frequencies than our hearing range. So that might also give us a new world to explore as sound designers, musicians, where we can start making music above 20,000 hertz. That might be a bit cool. With some enhanced ears,
might be the new tier on Spotify.
The new tier, exactly.
Another $3 a month, you
Oh
can
my
get up to
God.
40K.
Yeah, exactly. The dog music, or the music for dogs.
Yeah.
So,
I always wonder what the music sounds like to the dogs.
I know.
'cause
There are some.
they don't seem to enjoy it for the most part.
You're right, especially the fireworks. There are some microphones that can record and then they pitch it down. There's some interesting sounds, but yeah, not to our ears yet.
Yeah, well, that was how they got the gravitational waves, right? I think they pitched that up, though.
Yeah, it's super low.
Yeah, that's some crazy low waveform,
Yeah. I think above it, like really fast, I think it's starting to get visual, the spectrum of things.
Which is really interesting.
It's crazy, yeah. Because it's also a spectrum of vibrations, and we just have this very small music range. And if you go super high, all the radio waves, and then above that, the ultraviolet, the whatever. I'm not an expert, but it's all it's very interesting. Maybe in the future, it all kind of collide into one.
Well, I've heard hearing described as just really sensitive touch because it's air pressure against those little tiny hairs in your eardrum, and it gets converted,
Yeah.
analog to analog conversion inside your brain and becomes sound that we somehow decode.
Exactly. And it can affect us.
Yeah. That's probably why it's fun to hear loud music and it vibrates you, and it's literally touching you. Those sub frequencies are going through your body.
There is such a different feeling when you turn up the music.
Yeah.
For sure.
I had a lot of fun with one of the guys in my band when we recorded guitars recently, because he's got like the Marshall half stack, and we turned it up as loud as it could go. Never been allowed to play guitar that loud in my life. It was so loud I could barely hear the music I was recording to in the headphones. But there's just something about that.
But you feel it.
A power, every movement of your finger on the strings is blasted loud.
Yeah. Even musicians playing next to me, if it's through a speaker's violin compared to violin playing next to me, that's a whole other vibe.
Yeah, there really is something magical about that.
Yes.
We should probably mention just some of the stuff you got like on Instagram and YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you also are so good at taking these complex ideas and putting them into a 1-minute video, which
thank you, man.
I think is another type of talent. To spend 2 hours going in depth on something is one thing, but to be able to just condense it all you really go through some pretty complex ideas and innovative ideas too. I really loved what you were doing with the bouncy notes.
Oh yeah,
That
that was
that's from
popular.
the Inspired by Nature pack
Yeah,
that Ableton
by
has,
Dylan.
and
Yes, thank you
those
so much,
bouncy
man.
notes as accompanying chords is
Yeah,
brilliant.
thank you so much. Yeah, dude, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's one of my main ways of getting new people kind of to know me and to get involved with what I do is those Instagram short videos and TikTok and YouTube shorts, just kind of like short tips and ideas for Ableton. Like you mentioned, the latest one was the auto accompaniment with the bouncy notes, which is a super awesome and somewhat overlooked device. So yes, sometimes some weeks, I try to do it every week, are harder than others. Some weeks it's just for my own experimentation. It's like, whoa, that's kind of a cool way of doing this. Let me share it with my following. And thanks, man. I appreciate it. So if anyone's interested, Sidebrain on Instagram, TikTok. I posted all of my social networks, Twitter, X, Facebook, and YouTube Shorts. So it's weekly, kind of like tips and tricks for Ableton and music production. Mostly just Ableton music production. I rarely do anything not Ableton. That's kind of like my thing. And on YouTube, more kind of long form videos. And recently, I also started releasing all those Max for Live devices. So there's also a bunch of tools and utilities there. And of course, if anyone's interested in joining the Sunday sessions, I do also have a newsletter you can join. And in the newsletter, there's some exclusive Max for Life stuff that are available in the newsletter. Like in this past one, we offered a MIDI visualizer. I don't know, a lot of people know this, but back in version 11 of Ableton, there's a MIDI effect, you can find it today, called MIDI Monitor. And in the MIDI monitor, it just shows you kind of like a small keyboard, a very basic chord detector, and you can even see the flow of your MIDI data if you need to troubleshoot stuff or stuff like that. It used to be a hidden MIDI visualizer. If anyone still have Ableton Live 11, go MIDI monitor, switch to the flow state, and then you need to click somewhere on the bottom. It's hidden. And it turns it into a MIDI visualizer, meaning when you hit a note, it kind of gives you this visualized explosions. I don't know why they removed it. It was a hidden feature, but I don't know why they removed it. So
I
you
never
can do
saw
it.
that.
You can find it now, but I made one that is offered to the community, to the Discord members, and to the newsletter. So even if you're not planning to join the Sunday sessions, the newsletter have a lot of tips, tricks, tutorials, and of course some exclusive Max for Live devices. Through the newsletter, you can find it on my website. Just sidebrain.net, join-the-group if anyone's interested. Or if you download anything from my Gumroad, you'll be added.
Yeah, I get that newsletter. It's great. There's always cool stuff going on.
Yeah, there's always, that's
and
what I do
you're doing
all
so
day.
much, so yeah.
That's what I do.
Something stuck out to me from when we were talking in February in LA. And it kind of makes me think a little bit about what you were saying about new careers, new paths in music. You were talking about your own music and how you're kind of content with just putting it inside the music tutorials and the stuff you're doing. I thought that was just a really interesting way to look at it. And because sometimes we put so much pressure on product release and all this stuff.
I had that,
and yeah, I wanted to just pick your brain on that a little bit.
I did had a huge pressure on myself in the past about I have to release music. I'm a musician. Am I a musician? I'm not releasing music. Like, what's going on? Now, I gotta say that a lot of times I get, because on all my tips and tricks on the social media, at the end, I give a very short musical example using that, whatever we just talked about. And a lot of times I get comments like, hey, where can I listen to the full track? Can you release the full track? And it makes me feel a tiny bit bad because I'm not going to release there's no full track. This is made purely for educational purposes. And it's very flattering that is good enough to a point where people are asking, where can I find a full track? But also, I'm probably not going to release the full track. Now, a lot of this is because of time constraints and, being a dad and having, my main career is music education. That's where I make my money. So most of my focus going into music education. When I teach, a lot of times, yes, I do create projects that might not be full-fledged songs, but something I share with my students as an example, and of course, all the stuff that I make on my YouTube. So it's a great feeling and honor, and I really appreciate everyone that is commenting on my videos like, hey, dude, the music that you give as an example is awesome, but at the same time, I don't feel the need or even the want to release it, because there's so much more today that goes around releasing it. Besides finishing the music, after that, the marketing, the kind of trying to push your music to the audience, post about it, whatever it is. And I kind of, I feel like, and this might be my own insecurities, I feel like the value that I give is better with education than just the music. So yes, like there's some music you can find of me online, but maybe the latest release was 2021 or 20, I don't know, a few years that I haven't released music. I don't have any plans to release music. And I see myself more as a music educator than a musician. So maybe that's where I kind of a bit different than regular musicians that, that's they're musicians, they make music. I not necessarily am a musician, but rather more so as a music educator, which I take full pride on. I want to see myself as a good music educator that can teach, and I trained top artists in LA, universities, stuff like that. But yeah, definitely music releasing is not even on my list. It's not even, as something that a goal of mine anymore. But that being said, from someone who is extremely, I'm sure a lot of us are extremely self-critic, I'm like, I cannot, like if right now we come into a studio and we make music, I will probably don't know what to do. Unless you tell me, Yeuda, let's do this and this. I'm flying. 10 minutes, you have it. Oh, Yeuda, let's do something, 150 BPM, R&B. 10 minutes, I have amazing stuff. But if right now is Yeuda, let's just make something, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of like, almost like music by demand in some way. So that's why these sessions of like focused styles, sessions, Sunday sessions, where I know, okay, this week we're making Afro beats. I know what I need to do. I know what I need to focus on. It's much easier for me to create that way. So it's a, it's a struggle that I had for years, and can't tell you exactly when I let it go, but when I let it go and fully embrace myself as a music educator, I was able to be much more creative and create much more music without the obligation of finishing it. And that's maybe the easiest way out. It's an easy way out. I'm sure it's kind of like kind of giving up in some way. But again, I'm more of an educator than a musician. So I start putting that pressure on me.
Well, it's a good way to reframe it, because you're right. Like, it's not just finishing the song, it's the releasing, and then it's the trying to get people to listen to it, and you can't even give it away anymore. And when and that can be deflating, and you put all this time into it and no one wants to hear it or whatever. You got to worry about all those other things, but every time you make a tutorial, you're getting some of your music out there, you know? And the way a lot of people listen to music these days anyway, that might be all they hear of a song as it is before they skip to the next one.
Exactly.
So to be able to identify where you're feeling this stress and pressure and then just cut it out, I think is smart, because you're now having fun, and you kept saying play music. And plus a lot of what you said about if we were going to make the R&B track, you know what to do. If we're going to do this, a lot of times that's the problem we all face, is these infinite options. We can do anything we want, any direction. We have every tool, every sound, every bit of information we need, tutorials that
It's too much.
Yeah. How do you decide to make anything is a good question.
That's what a lot of times I tell my students about creativity. My personal belief is creativity shines with limitations, and lack of limitations kills creativity. I always give now the old example. I don't know if a lot of people, the young people, know about, but MacGyver. MacGyver is a perfect example of creativity. So the more limitations you would put upon yourself, the better, the more creative you would be forced to be. So I think limitations is essential. And like you said, today it's too much.
Yes, the only way I get things done is when I decide I'm going to use this tool or try to make a song like this or play with the band. There's only 3 of us and it's already got its built-in limitations to it. But when it's, let's just see where the wind takes me today.
Right. Oh my God. Maybe sometimes, but that's usually super weird stuff.
And it doesn't usually happen until I start committing down a path.
Yeah.
And just going and seeing where it takes me.
Exactly.
But you've got that built into your topics each week and sharing that. I think it's a cool way, again, like almost this alternative way. And looking back, it was a motivation for me to get started sharing my work and sharing some of the behind the scenes stuff and tools I was using, was because when I started looking to things like YouTube to learn, I found myself listening to these artists too. I'd hear the stuff they're doing. I'd be like, oh, it's kind of cool. Maybe I'll download their EP or something. And it was a much different way of getting into music than I'd ever had before.
Absolutely. That's a great
So
point.
I'm sure there's just all kinds of new avenues waiting to be explored. And I think that was inspiring to hear you say at that lunch we had.
Good. Okay, I'm glad to hear. I didn't know.
Yeah, because that's a real pressure that I think a lot of us, especially when you are teaching, because you want to feel like you have the right to be teaching, right? So I should have a catalog.
Absolutely. I can tell you that just from my point right now, that I'm already quite established as a music educator, I can afford to do that. There was huge pressure a couple of years ago to always release music as the head of the school. I always had to prove to myself and that I can prove to others that I can make good music, or else why am I an educator? What can I teach if I can't make good music? I don't have the right to be a teacher if I can't make good music. So luckily today, and it's quite amazing for me how I got to a point where I feel like I proved enough to my students that I can make good music, that I don't have to make music. It's just the idea is that if you trust upon me to teach you this topic, you know that I'm also going to give you examples that sounds great without me needing to now release an album. So, but I can,
like you said earlier too,
I would feel pressured.
Yeah. Well, that's the benefit of doing a weekly practice like this too, for you especially.
And also, if anyone's thinking about this route, the content also validates me a lot. Back before 2 years ago, all my content used to be through the mask of BeatLab Academy, the school, which also became very popular online. But people didn't know Yeuda was doing all the content for BeatLab Academy, everything. So now that it's my face, my artist name, everything, it's much more validating for people to know me as a music educator, Ableton, guy.
Well, there's artistry in that. I mean, your whole approach is unique. It's to your style. It fits you well.
Thank you.
So there's art to that. It's not just technical stuff teaching. There's definitely a craft and an artist and creativity in it. And hey, if you're scratching that itch and maybe you don't feel like sitting around and mixing the song and mastering it. And
yeah, it's too much pressure. I won't let myself finish them,
Yeah.
It's
how do you finish anything?
A self
besides let it go.
insecurity thing. It's never too good. It's never good enough, which I'm sure a lot of artists face. but I was never able to pass that point.
I don't know anybody that really has passed it. I think they just deal with it. For all the people I talk to on this, and for myself too, I have to accept it for what it is. And the mindset of thinking it is almost like a journal entry. This is where I am today. This is what I was able to do in this recording, and live
That's
with
really
it,
healthy, dude. That's really healthy. Me, I'm sure a lot of people, I go from I'm a piece of shit to I'm the best artist in the world. And it's just an extreme spectrum of just going in between them. So when I teach, I'm more able to be stable in knowing I'm a good teacher and I can give good examples without the need to go between these two extremes of like, wow, I'm the worst musician ever, to, oh my God, I'm a genius. I don't like the jump between them. And sometimes it's a daily thing, of when I try to finish music. So I'm not.
It could be from the time I start playing the part to like the end of the take.
Exactly.
I go from one extreme to the other.
Exactly. It's such a roller coaster. So I'm trying to be more just not too high, not too low.
That's good. It's healthy.
Yeah. But
you got to watch out for that stuff.
Music education helps me.
Yeah. It's awesome stuff, man.
Thanks, man.
I know a lot of people are benefiting from it. People in my community know you and follow your work, and in my Discord, one of your videos pops up from somebody every once in a while. Look at this. Dude. Did you know this? And it's usually like, nah, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate it. It's good to hear.
So we can send people, sidebrain.net is sort of the hub. And what's cool is you have these courses a la carte. You even do like a buy 4, get 1 free. And I think you have like a vault as well, right?
The vault is all the courses there. Yeah, there's almost 100 because in the beginning of the sessions, not all of them got recorded. So almost 100. And every week we have a different thing, a different topic that we talk about.
And I would argue that each week is a lot more than 1 week's worth of material.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of information. And people can check out 20 minutes for free on each session. So there's so much free material there if anyone's interested in checking them out.
Yeah, and that's very generous of you too. Something I've always appreciated about what you do.
Yes. Amazing, dude.
So yeah, check out Sidebrain, wherever you want to go, as he's there. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, the internet. And Ableton is always sharing your stuff too. So
yeah. And I'm doing a lot of work with Ableton directly as well.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I thank you for being here.
Thank you, man, for having me. Until next time. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you to the listeners. You guys have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Music Production Podcast. If you want to help support the show, the best thing you can do is tell a friend, someone you think that would enjoy the show. I'd also love it if you could leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to support my work, you can go to brianfunk.com. I've got tons of Ableton Live packs, tutorials, samples. You can check out my book, The 5-Minute Music Producer, which gives you 365 short music-making activities to help you get started, stay inspired, and finish more music. And there's also the Music Production Club, where you get my latest releases as soon as they're finished. It gives you access to a community of like-minded people who are making music and sharing ideas. You can share your music, find new collaborators, and participate in our live meetings where we set up some kind of musical challenge and then make music together and share our results at the end. That's the Music Production Club. It's a lot of fun, and you can find that and everything that I do at brianfunk.com. Thanks again for listening to the show, and have a great day.